Morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to This Week in Indies, December 5th, 2021. God damn, it's December already. Yuck. But welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us. And I'm going to do a little shameless self-promotion this morning, actually. Give you a little tiny taste, a little tease of something that I've been working on for about the last month. It's finally coming to fruition, and it's something personal to me. It's not Go Indie Now related, but this is my channel, so I'm going to play whatever the hell I want. And so enjoy this little tease, and then we'll be back with the roundtable discussion. We've got a great show ahead for you today. And ironically, we'll talk about that later. But anyway, here's a little self promotion for you.
Hello, my friends. The journeys we've been on together, the paths we've chosen separately, have led us all to this moment. The bonds we have created are strong. We believe it's time for you to come home. And in doing so, we throw up the universal symbol to welcome you to the kingdom. Some of you have been here before. Some of you, this will be your first time. But make no mistake about it. You are welcome to stay as long as you wish. Just know that things are about to get a little heavy.
All right, welcome to the roundtable discussion.
That was awesome.
Thank you.
What?
We'll talk about it here.
I want to know more. I do.
All right, everybody, welcome to the roundtable discussion. And as you could see, as you heard, I have a great panel with me as always. It's awesome to see you all. Welcome to the show. And we've got a lot of discussion. And I was mentioning beforehand that I was promoting this Kingdom of Heavy. And ironically, CL Cannon's Indie Connection kind of has a little bit of a same flavor to it with hers, and you'll see that a little bit later what I mean. It's just an odd connection. It's not anything that's actually connected. But anyway, we'll talk about that a little bit later. We'll see that a little bit later. But for now, I've got everybody here, and we'll go ahead and introduce everybody, and then we'll talk about the fun things that are happening in our world. Something happened a little bit. I just got the article this weekend, and then we're going to have some fun as well, talking about our journeys into writing a little bit in our first draft. So that being said, let's just go around the room. I'll just start from the beginning. So Sean, tell everybody a little bit about yourself, sir.
Hey, everybody. My name's Sean Burgess. I'm a dark fiction and thriller author. My first novel, The Tear Collector, came out in 2019, and I have a sequel to that coming out here in 2022 called Ghosts of Grief Hollow. So busy working on a new project while I'm waiting for the other one to come out.
Nice, awesome. All right, Madeline.
Hey guys, it's Madeline Dale. I'm a mixed genre author. Got a lot of things in the work. New book coming out in January, on January 12th. Got a huge Facebook party coming up for the end of the year, and then also a release day party. So you guys check me out, follow me. You can check out my website for all my social media and stuff. So thanks for letting me be on the show today, Joe.
Thanks for being here, as always. I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to the party. All right, Nicki.
Oh, hi, I'm Nicki Hicks. I am a speculative author. I write all kinds of different things. I have my fingers in pretty much a lot of different pots, from horror to murder mysteries to steampunk, to whatever you basically give me a contract for, I will write for you. Other than that, you can find all of my stuff on my website down there.
Awesome. All right, AJ.
Hi, AJ Mullican. I write dystopian sci-fi, paranormal romance, reverse harem, all the little things I got my fingers in, all happy little lovey stuff. And I'm going to be spending the final 5 with you today with this big thick boy right here.
Nice, awesome.
Big boy.
Looking forward to that. Literally and figuratively. All right. Courtney?
Hey, I'm Courtney, aka CL Cannon. I'm the owner of Fiction Atlas Press. I do a lot of things here on Go Indie now, and actually have a fantasy book coming out in January on the 6th. And that's it for me.
Wow, this is the first I'm hearing of this. Hey,
Yeah.
awesome. Cool. That's fantastic. I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to that. You should hit me up. I'll read it and review it. So,
I've got to finish the final edit on it, and then I'll send it to you.
all right, sounds good. Awesome. Because I'm pretty much got everybody here in line for reviews and stuff, so I'm excited about that. And when Sean gets me his book, hint, hint.
I'll get it to you with a cover.
Right on. Nice. All right. I was sent an article by the awesome Rebecca Jonesy earlier this week, and I hadn't heard about this. This is very interesting. But an author named John C. Boland, who wrote, he's written a ton of stuff, actually. He's written for many publications. He is the author of this book, Hominid, is suing Amazon. He filed a suit at the end of August accusing them of not controlling their price gouging that happens with resellers. And also within his lawsuit, he is also blaming them for not vetting the legitimacy of these resellers. And I thought this was very interesting because this is something that I've seen from the very beginning of my journey as an author. And I was very disappointed in this idea because when I started putting my stuff out there at the beginning of all this, way back in, I found what was happening was I was sending review copies to legitimate reviewers to review it, and they would review it and then put this back on Amazon and resell it for more than I was selling it for, which always was odd to me. But it's an interesting dichotomy, I guess. It's a weird dynamic of Amazon that happens, and so I was always like, okay, that's odd. Good luck with that. I hope you get whatever you're asking for it, but I can't sell one copy, so I don't know how you're going to sell your copy. But regardless, it was just an interesting idea. And then reading this article and going deep into the dive of this idea, I don't know. I'm curious what everybody thinks, because it was eye-opening in a sense, but it was also very much like, I don't know. I felt kind of like he was stamping his feet a little bit. It's just part of. I mean, we were talking off the air about piracy and how our books are pirated. It's kind of just par for the course a little bit.
Okay, there was a part of me that kind of felt like caveat emptor. I mean, I've gone on Amazon and I found books that I've wanted. And I remember this one book. It was a very thin little book written in 1980, and it's about Appalachian folk magic. I wanted it for some research. And it was on sale on Amazon for $299. And I was like, I'm sorry, this is a magic book? Is this going to actually do things for me? What? I know this thing wasn't made in 1847 or anything. This is nothing special. So I was like, nope, I'm not. No. Then I went online and found it for like $12 at a metaphysical bookstore. And I think if you're going to spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars for a book that you could possibly find for $19.99, that's your own damn fault. It does make me mad, though, that someone could make that kind of money off something I wrote. Good luck with that. But I think you're stupid if you're going to spend that kind of money for a book online. I mean, if I went to a bookstore and I found this first edition copy of Charles Dickens or something, and it's, oh yeah, sure, fine. Or signed by Jesus or something. Okay, maybe. But I'm not, no, I am, no.
That makes me think about Sean's book. I'm just like,
yeah,
Jesus,
Sean's.
he could
Tell the story, Sean. Tell the story.
Yeah, so I had one friend that wanted a copy of my book, and I didn't have enough orders to do a full-on order, so I just grabbed a copy off of Amazon. And when I got the copy and checked it out, it looked a little bit different than my own copy. And so I opened it up, and it had my jacket looked just like the Tear Collector. And once I opened it up, it was a book about Jesus. So I'm pretty sure whoever got the copy of the Tear Collector in the wrong dust jacket was pretty surprised and disappointed.
Yeah, but that was my feel when I read the article. Part of me is kind of like, okay, come on, guys. But at the same time, you've got to be smart when you shop online. Always be smart. Realize that most of the stuff you get comes from probably not, especially if you're on Facebook. Anything you click on Facebook, any ad, oh my gosh, double and triple check that thing, that you're not going to be swapped out.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I'm sorry. It's just a part of just being smart on the internet.
Yep.
And people are going to steal your books, and they're going to sell them, and it's just, I think how much you can do. If you want to fight, if you're Neil Gaiman, you can fight this. Me, I cannot fight this.
Neil Gaiman can't even fight it. Trust me.
Yeah.
If you look up his books are ridiculously priced.
But he's Neil freaking Gaiman. I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
I bet if he wanted
I
to.
love seeing his responses to people on Twitter, because he shuts down some of the worst trolls so expertly.
I think it's his British side. They have generations.
I should have said
shutting down.
expertly.
And being trolls. Well, they're professional trolls. So
Yeah,
I appreciate a good troll. So
I just think when you look at these things, I mean, I don't know how far this thing's going to go. We'll see. It'll be interesting to see if it has legs. It'll be very interesting to see if it does, if it gets considered even.
Did you go to his website?
No.
I went to his website because I'm that guy. And as of October 11th, 21, Amazon had removed the case. Had moved the case to it is now like in a federal claim.
Oh.
And he's trying to get it put back down to a state claim, I guess, for reasons I don't understand. But they're still pushing it.
Because if it goes to federal court, it'll be buried and not tried for about 3 or 4 years.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. And Pop doesn't have the money to push it for that long. I mean,
and he's pushing 80 as well.
Yeah,
so.
he probably doesn't have the time left in the world. Is really going to fight Amazon, or
that's
just
what Amazon's hoping that he dies.
Well, that's what they do at most corporations.
Mm-hmm.
I work for the state, and people constantly are suing us, and I'm just like, get in line, because
take a number.
Take a number. Get in line.
Yeah, I mean, Amazon is so embroiled with like 50,000 lawsuits right now. It's ridiculous anyway. But I mean,
oh my God, yeah.
They keep their law firm employed very well.
I'm sure.
But yeah, I just found it fascinating. I just was kind of curious everybody's perspective on that idea, and I mean, because I think we've all seen it and we've all wondered about it, and at least I've wondered about it. I don't know if everybody's wondered about it. I guess I'm presuming that everybody's wondered about it. I apologize if I'm making presumptions that you didn't have, but it's just it's interesting to me because I think the idea is that they're hoping you become famous and they're just taking a shot in the dark, and then they've got your book, because I signed all those books too. So the books that are online right now that are for $400 or whatever ridiculous amount they are, I signed them.
I learned the term flat sign. That's recently. I mean, I didn't know what that meant. So I had to Google it up because I'm stupid. And I have a friend who's like, he refuses to flat sign books. He will not flat sign books because as soon as he flat signs them, someone will go and put them on eBay or whatever and sell his books for a lot.
I always put a personal note in the book.
Yes, I always flat sign because I never thought about it.
I'm giving it to you or selling it to you, whatever, as a gift or as a sale to you, not to be resold. So yeah, I'm going to write to you or to whoever it is, and make a little personal note there. And then it's a little harder for them to resell because it's like, who wants a book that's made out to somebody else? Yeah.
Yeah, to blankety blank. Well, I never did that. I always, except for the Jake Ishinheji, I would always draw a zombie chicken for the thing, for the Jake Ishinheji stuff. But other than that, it was always just because I'm usually selling at a con and you're busy. I don't have time to.
I've been to one con as an author, and I put notes in everyone. Still, I asked them, I said, who do you want me to make it out to, and what color do you want? I had like I made myself a little apron with like little sections for all the pins. I could put like my Sharpie in there and everything. I'm such a nerd, but
I like that idea. That's creative.
Yeah.
I'm gonna steal that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can send you the link to the Pinterest thing I got it from,
Send
because I
me the
just
link.
got the tutorial and made it and everything. And
Cool.
Well, if you
cool.
send me the link, I'll put it in the description too.
Do
so
that.
now I have to find it. Okay, hold on.
You have homework, Matt. You have homework.
But for everybody to indulge in that, just
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think we covered that pretty well, huh? Everybody, are we ready
we
to
do.
move on to the fun topics?
Oh, okay.
So I thought it would be interesting because NaNoWriMo just ended. I think some of us participated, some of us did not. Myself included did not this year. Well, I kind of tried, but I was like, nah. But as I usually do with Nano, that's kind of where I end up. I usually, the first week, I'm pretty excited about it. And after a week of it, I'm done with it. But in terms of, it's always talked about what do you do with what you've created during that time period. And I wanted to take it a little step further, since not all of us participated in Nano or were part of Nano. In the idea of, and it sounds like Courtney has a book coming out, Sean has a book coming out, Madeline has a book coming out, and AJ just put out a story, and Nicki's working on, as Nicki does with all her stuff. So, so I was kind of curious from your perspectives, as you all have put out multiple things in the past too. So what is it about first drafts for you? How do you approach them? Has your approach evolved? And when do you know you're going to put something out? Is it right from the beginning, or are you just writing something and then seeing if it has legs?
I have had a definite evolution of my first draft process. I used to try to outline everything, and I found very early on I was not a planner at all, maybe a plantster at best. I tried to figure out what I was going to do in every chapter, and I was going to be all organized, and then it all went to as soon as I started. So I've quit that method. I'm one of those weirdos who edits as I go, though. I go back if I'm having trouble. I go back to a chapter or two behind, and I read the flow and figure out, do I need to change this? I need to change that. Oops, there's that word that's not supposed to be there. Take stuff out, fix stuff as I go, which makes for a longer first draft, probably as far as time wise. But I feel it makes for a cleaner first draft, in my opinion. And I feel like the story flows better for me when I do that. Once I get going, I can just go back and I go in order as well. So I'm also another weirdo in that aspect. I don't just jump around and write different scenes as they come to me. So yeah, I go in order, and I go back and read what I've written and fix what I have to along the way. And so when I get to my actual end of the first draft, it's almost like a second or third or fourth draft all mushed into one, because I've been editing as I go.
Mine is absolutely a chaotic first draft, because I write and just keep going. I'm one of those that doesn't edit until after everything is down. And I actually, for Nano, I went back and forth between dictating it and writing, on the computer. And then I did a little bit of handwriting that I would plug into. So I know it's I already know it's super choppy and everything, but I'm also only halfway through the book, so I've got another 50,000 words to write, because I'm insane, I guess.
That's interesting though, because for most people with Nano, it's writing one book, right? But you took the approach of taking the 60,000 words kind of literally, but it's only a part of your book, so that's kind of interesting.
It's not done, so I have to I knew that going in that it was going to be long, because the first book, before I did all the editing, was 100,000 words, and
Cool, interesting.
Well, I kind of go by the Terry Pratchett view of your first draft is where you really find the story. So my very first draft is just me finding the story, and I don't worry too much about word length. I'm writing the story. So the first draft is going to be pretty much my Play-Doh vomit draft. And then I can play with it. And these are stories for me. I mean, stories that I'm writing, I don't have a contract for. Now, if you give me a contract for something, well, then that's going to be a little bit more difficult, because I have a time limit. And for those kind of stories, I kind of start with, I'm kind of a planter. I kind of start with what I call my skeleton. This is the skeleton of the story. And then I throw the meat on it as I go. So it all depends on whether or not I'm writing for myself or if I'm writing for a contract. So, yeah.
For me personally,
go ahead.
okay.
Sorry.
For me personally, when I start a project, I'm pretty positive I'm going to finish that. But I'm a lot like Amy in that I will write. I may take, life just may get in the way, work get in the way, and I may take a week off. So I do have to revisit, what I was working on a couple of weeks before to get back in the flow and make sure everything makes sense. And first draft wise, I tend to do a lot of editing as well. I find that it helps me just kind of stay on task. I don't really plot out a lot of things. I do have some ideas in my head on key scenes. I have a general kind of idea on where I want the story to go, but oftentimes it, takes a different direction and a direction for the better. So I always leave myself with that leeway to kind of move in the direction that where opportunity presents itself. Yeah,
I find I get constipated if I'm too pushed into a drill or a plot or something. I'm thinking of a plan. I need to know where I'm at. I need to know where I'm going. That's all I need to know. The middle part, the little squishy part, well, that'll basically take care of itself as I keep going. If I keep going.
It'll fill in.
Yeah.
And I have started books. I've started stories that just never went anywhere. And that's fine too. I just put them on the back.
I just recently, I had started working on a trilogy. I was going to get it all set out to release beginning next year. And I had covers for it. I was getting ready to go. And I realized I was putting too much pressure on myself to put out at the same rate as other indie authors who were doing it full time. And I realized that was really detrimental to, various aspects of my health. And I shouldn't be doing that. I work full time. I have a job, 40 hours a week. I can't just, write all the time. And I was trying to put myself in this mode where I was putting out at the same rate as other authors. I'm like, I can't keep doing that. No. So I have something that's been shelved for the moment, maybe shelved for good. Who knows? We'll find out when I'm back, in a swing of a position where I can actually get to it, if I ever do.
I had a similar experience. I mean, so when I was approached early on in the process of creating my books from one book to 3 books, the idea was we were going to go back to book 1 and kind of tie, because the way I wrote my first book was a standalone. So in writing that, I didn't have any thoughts of a second book or a third book. And then I wrote a second book after being, told, hey, 1,000 times, hey, you should write a second book. We'd love to hear the story continue. So I continued it. And then I realized they were disconnected. And so we went back. My publisher, Three Furious Press, and I, my indie publisher, decided that we were going to rewrite the first book just kind of to tie it together. And what ended up happening was, I'm such a better writer than I was back then. And so, the idea was I was going to get it out for Black Friday and then have the third book come out next year. But we were finding so many, things where I'm so much better now as a writer. So I was rewriting whole chapters and rewriting. And I actually added scenes. So there's extra scenes for people who have already invested the time in reading my book. I felt like that was kind of a cool filmmaker thing to do, was to add, do a director's cut of my book and add scenes that I either thought about before releasing the book or scenes that I thought would help tie together. And it was an opportunity to use that to tie it together. And then I wrote it and we started getting into it. And, as time went by, and I would only touch it, because I'm busy with other stuff. And like you all, I have the same thing where it's it takes me a couple weeks to get into something, and then I get out of it real quickly, and then I have to go back into it, and I have to reread and all that fun jazz, like you all were saying. And then doing that, as it got closer and closer to the deadline, I was realizing there's a lot of work still to be done here. And I was putting so much pressure on myself to get that work done. And I really felt like, okay, we had to take a step back, let it simmer, let's look at this rationally. And so now we're taking our time in developing the book a little bit more and rewriting it, because that's the right thing to do.
Exactly.
Even though it might take a lot of time to do that, it's worth it, because in the long run, that was the thing that people were talking about with my book, was it was a first timer's book, so it had a lot of mistakes, it had a lot of things in it, and so basically I'm rewriting the book in that respect, and so it's because I'm a better writer now too. So
and you want to be proud of your product, so therefore you're taking time.
Yeah.
I did the same thing with my Jake Ishinheji. When I got the rights back, I took that first story and I was like, man, this is a piece of crap. So I went and I rewrote it. And also because when I wrote the first story, I wasn't expecting, it was supposed to be a standalone. I wasn't expecting. And then so the next story, I found a way, I was able to make it much smoother, because when I wrote the second story, I was pulling stuff out of my butt because I had no idea. I wasn't expecting it. I killed off a major character in the first story because, anywho, I understand. I'm the same way. But you want to be proud of your product, so you take your time.
Mm-hmm. There's so much pressure on indie authors now to just crank stuff out. And some can. Sure, that's great for them. I cannot. I'm learning this, and I'm like, I need to slow my roll, because I'm gonna really
hurt yourself.
Up if I keep
quality over quantity, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's essentially the argument that has always been plagued indies is quantity over quality, and the idea that you get better, you just naturally get better. I don't care what you think. I think Hemingway was onto something when he said, "You're not a writer until you've written 1,000,000 words," because you don't know how powerful your words can be if you're more succinct, you know story better. You learn those things just by naturally doing them, and you find that you're like a better writer all of a sudden. Like you didn't meant it to happen; it just happened, right?
Of course, it's practice. You get better.
Yeah. So I thought that's an interesting idea of that, the first draft, and I don't know. Does anybody feel like they write faster now?
Oh yeah, my first book took like 2 years between first draft, starting the actual book, and publishing it. Same for my second book. But I've started since since the pandemic started. Basically, I put out, I don't even know how many books, a lot. But I definitely am moving faster, although I've slowed myself down because of the realization that I am not a full-time indie author and won't be for quite some time. So I have slowed myself down considerably, but I do write faster. I've got my method that works best for me down, so I'm able to produce faster. It's still at a good quality because I'm getting things done right the first time, because I've learned what to do and not do along the way, and it's helped. Those first couple of little stepping stones have helped me to get to the point of being able to write cleaner first drafts, or being able to tie a story together better when I'm not planning it. It's all kind of as I go. I'm picking up tips to make it easier to do everything, and thus able to do it faster because it's easier for me.
Yeah.
How about for you, Sean? Did you find the second book came out a lot faster than the first one?
Yeah, so the first one took me about a year to work on, and I'll be honest, at that point I was more casually working on it. So the second one, I kind of devoted time from like 10 to 2 in the morning, basically almost every night for about 3.5 months, and it was able to go through the story that quickly. But I'll be honest, it always amazes me how much time I end up having to spend on the back end, because I probably played around with editing for another 4 to 6 months after I actually completed the draft.
Is that more because you're more proud of what you're doing now than you were before? Because you didn't know what you were doing before. Now that you know what you're doing, you kind of have a little bit more pride behind it. So I'm going to make sure that it's really, really good. Really
Absolutely. I mean, I think anything that we put out, right, is a reflection of us. And if that's a reader's first impression, and it's not a good one, you're probably not going to see them again. So my hope with everything that I put out is to obviously put my best foot forward, put all my effort into it, realize that, I'm still learning as a writer, and I'm going to continue to grow, but I want to be proud of what I put out. So It's very important to me to take my time with that.
I'm curious, Courtney, from your perspective, you do marketing for a living. Does that factor into how you write a first draft? Do you think about how you're going to present it, or you get out of that head? Can you compartmentalize a little bit and get out of that headspace?
The marketing thing doesn't really bother me, but one of the other services I offer is editing. So like everyone else, I am editing as I go, and I'm also fact checking and little things, especially like if I'm writing something that's historical, I'm checking, did they even have that word at that time? When was the first usage of this? And, and would they wear this? I'm in research mode all the time. And that gets in the way of me getting a lot of words down, because I can't just leave it on the page and go, I need to research that later. I'm like, no, I can't keep writing 20 pages of this person wearing the same costume if it's going to be inaccurate. So it's just that little nagging thing. I'm a perfectionist. Like, I'm a Virgo and I'm an INFJ, and it's just, I can't leave it alone. So that hinders me a lot more than the marketing. Marketing is, I don't know. Marketing comes pretty easy to me. It's kind of something that's, I don't know. It's like in my blood or something. I don't really have to think about it at this point, because I already know what I'm going to do. I already have a plan in my head. So I don't really have to think about it while I'm writing. Now, after that, then I get into like marketing mode. But for the most part, it's just trying to get past editing all the time and getting the words down.
Nice. Madeline, you're starting a whole new adventure. Are you?
Yes.
Was it much different for you now that you've completed this series?
Oh, yeah, definitely. So this trilogy that I am aiming to get it all out next year, knock on wood. I've actually put more planning and everything into this novel. Research mode, like Courtney said, is constant. Like, because with it, there's like different like types of demons and stuff, and I'm researching like their names. Like, I want meanings behind their names, and like want to make sure they're kind of accurate, that they fit certain qualities of like stuff. Like, for like one thing I was actually researching, because I didn't even think about this in the first book, but I'm tying in like the first vampire, and I'm like, okay, who was the actual first vampire? And like I going on down that rabbit hole kind of stuff. Like, that was actually interesting, because it's not who I thought it was, obviously. So I mean, but it's definitely a slower pace, because I am having to research more. I am putting more thought behind everything. It's not just coming out of my head. So yeah.
Your head, that's an interesting place, because I usually pull it from somewhere else, I mean, like, this ties in. That's great. I don't know how it worked out that way, but all right.
How much are you in your first draft in writing something that has, existence? If you're writing a second book or you're writing a series, how much are you thinking about how much time? Because this is something that I've been thinking about a lot with this first book. How subtle am I going to be with certain hints and certain things that I know are going to happen in book 3 and book 2, and in writing book 3 too, I'm thinking about, okay, does this make sense that ties back to the first one, and do I have to rewrite something in the first one now that I have the opportunity to do that to make it work or do I need to rewrite the third one? Stupid author things get in my head, right? Like that. And It's like, how much are you guys all thinking about Easter egging? None.
I will be in the second or third book and be like, oh, this little thing here, actually, I could make it, this thing that happened in book 1, be an Easter egg for this, because it happened to work out that way. I do book by book. I mean, I'm doing better with my longer series, the sci-fi one, but I still, there's a lot of things that happen in later books that I didn't intend for the first book to be leading into it. But it does. So it's working out. So I'm like, okay, well, that's cool. We'll go with that. there's a lot of things that happen, like it's kismet kind of thing. Like I will have something come into my head at the very end of the book or the end of the story that ties into something else that happened earlier that I didn't realize was going to tie in because I hadn't conceptualized it yet. And I'm like, okay, well, this works. Cool. We're going to go with it.
I did what the Jake Easton had you when I went back and rewrote all the things I did. I put in little things that would help smooth over little Easter eggs in the first story, or just little things that would make more sense as you go down the stories. Also, it makes more, for a reader who already read it, it's something for them to see. Oh, I knew that. It's kind of little inside jokes with people who've already read the stories. So yeah, I've done it. It's fun.
I think with mine, when I wrote my first, I wasn't really sure that I was going to write a sequel, even though I wrote an ending that kind of begged for a sequel.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's pretty open-ended.
So, ultimately I did decide to write the sequel, and I think I just looked for areas where I could kind of tie that in. And then you start to think, okay, where do I want to start this timeline? Where does it start? And so those are kind of all considerations that come into play. And I think, I always wrote with the first book in mind, and obviously spending so much time with your books, you're really familiar with those. So even little details, you can kind of find opportunities to tie in at a later date that you weren't kind of originally intending, but that just work well. So, that's the approach that I took since I didn't have a planned series.
Nice. How about Madeline, Courtney? You guys want to chime in on this?
I guess I'll go. It's according on which series I'm writing. One of my series has a prequel. So in the prequel, I'm kind of foreshadowing things that's going to happen in the main series. And, there's different artifacts that are going to show up later, and history. I'm building the history, so that's a lot easier to foreshadow and use later. But in this new one that's coming out, it's a Sleeping Beauty retelling, and it's going to be a duology. So I can do little Easter eggs to the actual Sleeping Beauty, story in there, and then try to make up my own things. So I'm laying a couple things out for the second book, but I mostly doing like AJ, where I just I'll figure that out later. It'll somehow tie back. I'll do, when I write the second book, I'll somehow tie it back to the first one, because that's the way my brain works. I'm very much a discovery writer. I don't really plot anything. I write things out of order. Sometimes a bit of dialogue will come to me, and I'll write it down and throw it somewhere way down the Word document, and then go back up to where I was at. And so it's kind of hard for me to foreshadow things when I don't really know what's going to happen yet with the story. So thankfully, with the Sleeping Beauty thing, like I said, there's stuff that I can Easter egg in there from the actual original Sleeping Beauty, and things that fans of that will recognize. That's kind of cool to put in there, but that's about it.
Mine kind of does the same method. It just kind of coincidentally connects. Some of the time, there's a few things I'm trying to make sure kind of hints at something, especially towards the end of my writing, where it's getting ready to transition to book 2. I kind of like to throw in little Easter eggs in there, so that some of them are not completely planned. Some of them are oh, hey, that would make really good sense if it ties into the idea that I'm planning for the next book. So.
All right, so the grand debate that I always have on this show and beyond all my shows and everything like that is the idea of garbage files and how much we keep and how much we throw away and all of this interesting thing. I am of the mindset that if it wasn't meant to be a word in my book, it's gone, and it's gone forever. I don't care. So like AJ and Courtney and Madeline, with Easter eggs, you just go in by the flow. I'm going by the flow whenever I'm writing, and if I delete it, it's gone. I don't even think a second time about it. I don't copy and paste it. I don't cut it. I delete it, and it's gone. And so I've probably thrown away more words than I've written in that respect, and maybe I've hurt myself in that process. But I'm just kind of curious. I think everybody here is probably the opposite, but I'm wondering what everybody thinks about it as you get better with your first draft and get more succinct, and you're able to write a first draft a lot faster. Is it easier for you to let words go?
Yes and no. I still do occasionally keep an extra file, which is like, scenes I might add back on docx or whatever. I don't know. But sometimes it's like I just take out a chunk and put another chunk in and it works better. So I just leave it that way. But sometimes it's like a chunk that I really like, but it's not working. So I kind of like set it aside, like over this little pile over here. And I might go back to it or might find that file in like 3 years and be like, ooh, I've already published this. Let's just get rid of this. So it just kind of depends, I guess.
Yeah. I have, if I could be like a metaphysical hoarder and accidentally get just trampled by all the data files I have just stored places that are just half done stories or scenes from a story that I just took out and put over here, I would be dead right now. But recently I went through all of my desk and I started doing that. I started taking all the stories that I've published. They're done. I'm not doing them anymore. And I put them in a box and I put them in a back corner. And I'm trying to do the same thing with my stuff online on my computer and my hard drive. Put it somewhere and stick it in the cloud so I have it there. But no, I'm very bad about it. 23andMe says I have Neanderthal genes, and the Neanderthal genes make me a hoarder, according to 23andMe. And I believe that. You should see my desk. I have things all around. I'm a bit of a person who, I'm like a crow. If it's shiny, I pick it up and I stick it on my shelf and I keep it there to look at. I can't let it go because you don't know. That might be the piece that's the puzzle that you need. And that's just me.
Well, as somebody who recently cleaned their desk, as I saw online.
I did. I was very
proud
proud
of that. Stuff did you end up throwing away ultimately?
I had not much. Most
you just repurposed it.
I put it into a box and put it somewhere else. I put it in a box and I put it somewhere else. But at least trust me, my desk is still a mess already. It's only been a week or two and it's already back to being a mess. I need things. My ADHD, I had to have it in front of me or it ceases to exist.
Right. The object permanence thing. I had that problem
if I don't have it in front of me,
it's gone.
It's great for long distance relationships because, oh, hey, how you doing? Whatever. But yeah, I need it. And so I just put it into a box and put it somewhere else. And I'm sure we'll bring this up in therapy again. But no, I just can't. I can't.
All right, Sean, Madeline, Courtney, you want to chime in?
My stuff all ends up, I have the Google Drive. I made sure to have extra space. I end up with extra documents and scenes and stuff just hanging out there. I'm like, maybe I'll come back to that at some point. Like, that was a good idea, but it's not what I'm focused on right now. It just kind of hangs out there. And then, yeah, I haven't cleaned it. It's still there. It's just hanging out.
I have boxes and boxes on a story I did that I'll probably never finish. But man, I got so much boxes of Travis Dare stuff, things I've written on it, and things. Oh well, if hell is basically where writers go, where they get confronted by all the characters that they didn't finish their stories, that is my hell. That will be my hell.
Most of my stuff, I'll just, if I don't think it works, I'll just toss it kind of without a second thought. If I really, really like something, but it just doesn't fit the story, I might save it and just see if somehow something similar might work for like a future story or scene. But so I guess I don't have that much of a problem parting with
I'm a crow. I just pick it up and keep it for later. You don't know. So, yeah.
I have a feeling that Courtney is all with you. And
no.
She's a Virgo INFJ. No, she gets rid of every daggum thing. No.
I am more like Joe, actually. If I don't need it, I throw it away. Virtually. Not at my house. My house is just everything. I've got books everywhere, papers. Like if it's an idea I wrote down on paper, it stays somewhere. Yes. There's a napkin. And sometimes because I am a Virgo and an INFJ, I will take all those ideas and write them down in another notebook, but then I will not throw away the other one that has it on it. So I've got like multiple. Yes. I'm like, what if that one got destroyed? What if there's a fire in that part of the, you never know. I can digitalize all this, but I don't for some reason.
Now I will say I do that. I definitely, if I write something and I want to keep it, I will put it on. I'll put it on a little flash drive. I'll put it in the cloud. Yes, I will, if it's written down on a piece of paper, I will put it in a bag and hold on to it. Then I realize quickly that I'm an idiot and I'll throw it away. but I at least have it on other mediums, so I do hold on because I know I've lost stuff that I've wanted to keep, and so that's the only thing I would say. But if it doesn't work, if it's something that never worked, I just never thought. And Anita joins us in that pursuit, so I'm very happy about that. But yeah,
it's like a good scene or something, like something that I wanted to keep that just didn't work for that, sometimes I will save it on another file, and you can use it like in your newsletter as like a bonus chapter or something like that. So you can actually use it for extra content later if it, like this is a cut scene from it, or you can even use it on your Patreon or something if you have one. So it's kind of, you have some merit in keeping stuff. So.
Bonus marketing tip for everybody this month.
Yes, I'm not crazy. I'm a good marketer.
Yeah. But so I'm curious, for all of you that do keep your stuff and put it in separate files, how often are you going back to it? How much of it have you actually repurposed?
Very rarely.
Maybe like 3 scenes out of the 20 something I've saved.
Wow, that's a pretty good percentage.
That.
I think that's probably a better percentage than most.
Yeah, very rarely. Very rarely.
Yeah, I mean,
I know it's a problem. But working on it.
It's all right. Everybody has their thing, so don't beat yourself up too badly.
Yeah.
I didn't mean that. I did not intend for this to turn into that. I apologize.
No, too late. It's too late, Joe.
Yeah. But no, I was just curious because, as I'm discovering that I'm a better writer, and I'm deleting words that I've actually published now. I'm actually, like, the first book, I'm taking out whole paragraphs. I'm going, how the hell did this get published? How the hell did this not get edited? Where was my brain when I put this out there?
Where was the editor when you put that out there? Yeah.
So right? I'm learning that I'm cutting words out that I've already published. So I'm even more of a sadist than anything, because it doesn't work. What am I thinking? What's wrong with me? But in that respect, there's nothing wrong with the indie connection because it is awesome all the time.
Nice segue.
And we have an incredible one for you this week from the great CL Cannon. Do you want to? I always feel like I need to go to you to say something about introducing this because you're here. But do you have anything you want to add to it real quickly before I put it?
The traditional book that this is based on is actually really good. You should check it out, along with all the indie books that are on there. Awesome. That's all I really have to say. I got the special edition for it, so I spent money for this indie connection.
Nice.
It's got nice sprayed edges.
Well, let's pay it back, everybody, and here is the indie connection, and we'll be right back.
Hey guys, CL Cannon here from Fiction Atlas Press, bringing you another Indie Connection. Today I'm going to be telling you about some indie books that you might enjoy if you're a fan of Carrie Moscato's Kingdom of the Wicked.
The first book I have for you is called The Hades Trials by Eliza Rain. I've been kidnapped by Zeus, plucked from the streets of Manhattan, and frightened half to death by a freaking Olympian god. And now I'm trapped in the underworld, being forced to compete in a series of deadly trials for the position of Queen of the Underworld, which would mean marrying Hades, the utterly terrifying Lord of the Dead. Who the hell wants a husband at all, let alone one made of smoke and riddled with death? I have to get back home to New York and my brother, but I can't leave without completing the trials, and they've been designed for a godly queen, not Persephone, barista and botanical garden enthusiast. I'm surrounded by lethal, all-powerful maniacs. Sexy as hell maniacs, sure, but as dangerous as they come, and I'm going to have to prove to all of them that there's a goddess of hell inside me. It's the only way I'll survive the Hades trials. But then what? And why am I so desperate to see under Hades' smoky exterior and find out what he's hiding from me? If I win the trials, I have to marry the devil himself, but losing might mean losing my life. The second book I have for you is called The Woe of Shadows by Dee Fisher. For the sake of her kingdom, one strong, but young queen must risk everything she holds dear. She was fierce, she was strong, she was unstoppable, until a god descended upon their land. The god warned Amala Ashcroft of approaching dark magic that would enslave her people, crush her reign, and defeat her own magic. To save all she holds dear, Amala must strike deals with dangerous enemies and swear blood oaths to powerful allies. But protection doesn't come without harrowing sacrifices. Forced to keep grim secrets, her carefully laid plans begin to unravel in the face of ultimate betrayal. Can Amala prevent the merciless evil from taking hold, or will generations to come battle the same malicious war? The third book I have for you is called A Fate of Wrath and Flame by K.A. Tucker. She would know the world of vengeful gods and monsters, and the lengths one would go for love, and nothing would ever be the same for her again. Gifted thief Romeria has flourished from her days as a street kid pilfering wallets to survive. Now she thrives stealing jewels from the rich under the involuntary employ of New York City's most notorious crime boss. But when an enigmatic woman secures her services at sword point, Romeria is plunged into a startling realm of opposing thrones, warring elven, and elemental magic she cannot begin to fathom. Her quest is straightforward. Steal a stone from Islor's sacred garden without anyone discovering her true identity, which would earn her certain death. But the identity she has inexplicably assumed is that of the captured Yorbarsian princess, an enemy to Islor after she poisoned the beloved king and queen on the day that she was to marry the prince. Her betrothed, the newly crowned King Xander, detests her with every grain of his handsome being. Fortunately for Romeria, she is more value to him alive than dead. Xander gives her a choice: life in a cell, or an acquittal of all charges in exchange for her help in exposing the growing plot against him. Romeria sees no other option and embraces the tricky role of smitten queen-to-be until she can escape, a ruse that brings her far closer to the king than she anticipated and threatens more than her safety. As she digs deeper into the sacred garden and the ancient feud between Yarbrough and Islor, she discovers monstrous truths that could spell ruin for all. And the last book I have for you is called Sedendum by Becca Burge. 7 players from across the land of Imperium are chosen by the god of death to play what appears to be a simple game. The winner will have the chance to make one wish for anything, or anyone, dead or alive. Although the players appear to be strangers, a closer look reveals that the slave, the politician, the executioner, the wise woman, 2 disgraced gods, and a young girl are linked together by both blood and circumstance. As the tension in the game increases with alarming speed, the player's perception of reality begins to warp, and with it comes the question: what is each one truly willing to endure to satisfy their greed?
Okay, that's all for me this week. I'll see you next week on the Indie Connection. Bye!
Yes, as always, thanks to CL Cannon for another great indie connection. I actually bought 2 of those books this week because I loved the cover. I'm a sucker for like silhouettes, and that silhouette cover was just awesome. But this week was very cool because I thought a lot of the blurbs were really good this week. So it was very interesting. But the second book, that the Sedendum one, is the other one I bought, and I loved the blurb of that book, and the cover's cool too. But covers are always cool. You always pick the greatest covers, Courtney. But that book. So I personally bought both of those. I don't know when I'll ever read them, but my list just grows and grows.
Growing.
Yes.
Yes.
So many.
Right.
And the stuff in your Kindle too. Oh,
Oh Lord, we don't talk about that.
no!
Yes.
Things on my Kindle, and I'm like, I haven't read. Oh,
I have
Talk about
books I bought
Kroger.
like 5-6 years ago, and I'm like, oh, I meant to read this.
yes.
We'll just leave it there.
Yes, I agree. Adam says the blurbs were awesome. Yes, I agree. These were really good. That first one was really fun. But yeah. So I wanted to finish off today by asking you guys about the idea of when you finished the latest draft of whatever you've just finished. Are you thinking about something, that you will do for the next time around when you've hit publish on something? Are you thinking about, okay, for the next time I do this, I'm going to do this? Is there something to that? Is there something that you're thinking about that you haven't done yet that you want to do with how you're writing? Has that thought process evolved for you a little bit?
That'd be like planning. That's scary.
Yeah, sometimes it depends about what I'm working on, because I've worked on stories I'm really glad to be done with, because it was just a really dark, nasty place. I'm really glad to be out of that place. I'm going to do something fun now. But no, I don't really think so. Well, again, you learn different story ideas and writing techniques. Yeah, I don't know. Again, planning. Are we adults? What are you trying to make us adults now, Joe?
Sorry. I would never
Damn it, Joe.
Anybody else want to chime in, or is that just a stupid question that I asked?
It was not a stupid question.
No, it was not.
No.
We love you.
Yes.
So.
Okay, so let's talk about a little bit about second and third drafts and fourth drafts. Now, everybody who's staring at their Nano, 60,000 words, sometimes it's just about getting to those 60,000 words, and then you go, well, what do I do now, right? And even veteran Nano folks I've heard from have told me this before, where they've written 60,000 words of garbage, and they're just like, well, do I publish this? What do I do? I mean, I spent an entire month on it, for God's sake. What do I owe it to myself to see it all the way through? So what do we, when you look at that first draft and it's done, how much more do you? I mean, a couple of you said you edit as you go, so it's more, it's probably more polished than it would normally be if it was just 60,000 words of I hate this term, word vomit.
Yeah, so it is word vomit. About a third or fourth time of going over this book, you're sick of it. You're sick of the story. You wish you never thought of it. It's the ugliest baby you've ever seen, and you wish it would just go away. But you've invested, and you've got to put it through kindergarten, and then through high school, and then get it off to college. You've invested in this. So yes, I mean it's just, but that's being a writer, people. Okay, unpopular opinion here. I hate NaNoWriMo, and it's primarily because when I used to run these fiction groups, inevitably every December my groups would be just filled to the brim with Nano people who would bring in their 50,000-60,000 word thing and then expect us to pat them on the heads and tell them, yes, this is beautiful, this is great, now go forth and become a published author. And which we would bring these, we'd read these, say, oh, that's pretty cool, and then we would critique it and tell them go back and rewrite it again, and they would look at us like, what? No, sweetie, you've just started down this beautiful trick of being a writer. Now you've got to do it again, and then do it again, and then do it again. And many of these people, actually like 90% of these people, you never saw again. No, but they just choked up our time in my group because if you're not serious, please, you're choking up our time. But I just hated December, hated it. Yeah, and that's just me. That was just me being a terrible old Grinch. But I hated it, and it always weeded out the week. There were a couple people that stayed because the whole redoing, well, that'll weed out the week.
It's kind of like going to the gym in January, right? Everybody makes that.
Don't you hate them?
The New Year's resolutions. Yeah,
I call them the resolutionists. The resolutionists taking up my stuff. In January, people will sign up for Pilates, and next thing I know, I can't get into a class because these freaking resolutionists taking up my spot. But they usually die by March. Yeah. So then you can get back into your
if
stuff.
Not before, like second week in January, they're like, I'm out. I can't do this.
Depends how much money they've invested. Pilates is not a very cheap hobby. So if they've gotten their 3 months, they got to put it through there. So anyway, yes, the resolutionists. But yeah. But now I sound like an old get off my lawn kind of person.
No, you sound like you know what you sound like. You sound like an author. You sound like somebody's a professional at this.
Well, because I take story very, very seriously, and it really pisses me off when someone says all you do is sit and type lies. I will take you down. I was in a college class that was in college and taking a creative writing class, which I do not recommend. I hate those things. And I was taking it because you had to take it for a credit. And this person said, well, writing's easy. You just make stuff up. And I was like, I will. Oh, you little 20-year-old. I will take you down. It makes me mad because to me, story to me is like a religion. It's very sacred. And when you fuck around with it, fucking find out. I mean, just don't. Don't. I will take you down.
It's the people who are like, yeah, I want to be a writer, and then they go on about, like,
well,
I can't decide what my pen name's gonna be, and I want to write high fantasy, but I don't know, I haven't really gotten started yet. And you're like,
I have yes, I've had people come to me with, I had this idea. What do you think about it? Bleh. Oh, that sounds cool, man. Run with it. Yeah, but do you think it'll be a success? Do you think it'll be a hit? I have no freaking clue, man. Write it and then find out. They don't understand that a lot of the stuff we do never goes anywhere.
It's work.
Yep.
Oh, it's so much work.
Constant work too. You're like sleepless nights over it, and but you want it to be good, so you put the time and effort into it, and then it just kind of.
Especially when you're in the middle of I know when I'm in the middle of a project, my husband will know I'm not there. I am not there. One time he took me away from a project because I was in a deadline to take me out to eat, and it was just pretty much force me down, eat this food. And then basically walk me to the car because I'll go to the wrong car. I'm not here. I'm here. So writing is crazy. It is a really stupid job. So it's crazy. It's just insane.
I'm going to piggyback off of that, Nicki.
What'd you do?
I did finish NaNo this past month, but I was insane. Like, not here, my house fell apart. Like, I couldn't do anything else because I was focusing completely on the story. And I'm actually like taking a break from my writing because the book's barely halfway written, so I still have more to do, like I mentioned earlier.
But you understand,
a complete disaster. Yeah, and I'm like purging stuff because I'm like, I got to get rid of this because like my creative brain has been going and going. I need a break for a minute just to go back to the story, but now I'm purging all this stuff from my home. Like, let's just get rid of things so I can go back to my little writing hole and nobody can bother me. I don't have things to worry about.
When I'm deep in a project, my house goes to hell. I don't know if it happens with men. Does this happen with men? Is it just a chick thing?
Okay.
No.
But my house goes to hell. I mean, everything.
No, you're talking to a divorced man, so
you take care of yourself.
Imagine how much of it matters.
It just goes to hell, and litter boxes. No.
Oh God, yes.
Cats
my cat.
Do this for themselves. I mean, come on, cat.
Also thankful for things like DoorDash when I'm in that little writing hole because I'm like, there's food. All I gotta do is pick out
out
something.
in the middle of nowhere for DoorDash. I can't even do that.
But see, and then I'm like, I can feed my child, and I'm good. Like, we have French fries and chicken nuggets, his favorite thing. And I'm like, I just go back to typing away. Like, just
so,
my
so your child is happy when you're writing. Then,
yes, he gets more free time to like watch whatever he wants on his phone. And I'm like.
No, cats let you know, and they will hurt you if you don't feed them.
They will literally cut you if you don't feed them their wet food in time.
Yeah.
Mine have that fancy automatic feeder because they're fat cats. One of them's
no, they've got dry food all the time.
Yeah, mine do too.
Wet food has got to come at 3 a.m, or else I'm in deep shit.
Yeah. You have one job, human. One job. So,
do not fail.
Yeah, that's me. Yeah.
Yeah, for somebody who wrote between 10 and 2 in the morning, Sean, I would assume that you were pretty invested at that point, and I imagine you were some tired, sleepless nights.
It kind of takes over, right? And you're kind of so absorbed in the story, and then it's really hard to go to bed.
Yeah,
to go back to reality.
My spouse is like, you need sleep. Quit writing.
But so before I was traveling for my job, and I wrote on planes, and I wrote in hotel rooms, and then when the pandemic happened, it was like I was doing everything through Zoom, and so it's just like it totally threw my writing schedule way out of whack. So I had to just kind of adjust and figure out a way to kind of make it work because my kids were like being homeschooled at the time too. So it was it was an interesting time. I don't necessarily recommend a 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. writing schedule and then getting up for work and doing it all over again. But it worked, and I really wanted to tell the story, and
exactly.
I like how it came out. So we'll see.
Yeah, there is a lot more than just putting things on paper or putting things on a keyboard, typing. There is so much involved in it, and we obsess about it constantly. So, I'm thinking about it. I get it at weird moments at time. I literally the one thing I do keep a lot is voicemails because I dictate a lot on my phone, and because if I don't, then the idea will go away.
Yes.
And I end up deleting them after I listen to them because I'm like, was I crazy at that moment?
How much did I smoke?
When you wake up
Right.
at 3 a.m. and write a note, and then you're like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've existed. Like,
Yes, I make it a point that when I'm drinking, that's what I'm doing. I've invested myself in drinking because if I get excited about something, like when we do Joe's Bar and I'm drinking, I'm there at Joe's Bar, because if I don't, and it's creative people, so when you're around creative people, you just get that creative energy.
Yeah, the energy.
And so I know right away that I've got to decompartmentalize. I've got to be sure that I'm in drinking mode, because I'll sit down and write something after that, and I'll be like, okay, I immediately just take it, rip it up, and throw it in the garbage, because I know I'm not going to be able to read it in the next morning.
Yeah, I'm gonna be on Joe's Bar. On the
See, I do
17th.
the Hemingway method of writing very often. I'll just get some whiskey and some soda, and like, there we go, write drunk, and then we'll edit it later when we're not.
I drink wine typically, normally, if it's in the evenings, like when I write, and like the later it gets, the more crazy my writing becomes. But
But
Whiskey
the real
variety.
gems then. Sometimes you get the real, like, you're like, this is great. When did I write
Really?
this? Oh,
Have you
that's
really?
right. I don't remember.
There's actually
Really had a gem on whiskey. Let me.
I have.
Really?
I
There's
actually
actually they found
subscribe to
a
the Hemingway
spot.
method.
They found a weird spot that really where creativity is the best, and it's right before you're legally drunk. I was at this writer's workshop. They were talking about it, and they actually found it's right before you're legally drunk that you are. It's like all your inhibitions are down, and you're not thinking about, is this going to be good? You're just you're just writing. And they found that it's just there's just one little very small space, but you got to stay that one small space. And I try it. But again, I prefer whiskey when I'm writing. Wine makes me too sleepy, and whiskey makes me mean. So it's much easier to write.
Hence the killing off the character in the first book. Because
I did. It was bad too. Oh, on Jake's birthday, he shoots his best friend in the head, who's just basically been gutted and ripped. Oh, it's bad. I killed Bear off bad, and it's cool. He comes back as a much more cooler part later on. So when it's your story, when you're God, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Death means nothing. I can make it. No.
Well, since it's my show, I'm going to do what I want,
Yes.
and that is to have everybody say where they can find you, because we want to know where we can get these wonderful stories, these first drafts that turn into published works. So we'll go the opposite direction now. So, Courtney, tell everybody where they can catch you at.
You can find me basically anywhere on social media except for Snapchat at CL Cannon. Or CL Cannon author. Instagram is CL_Cannon. You can find all those links on my website, clcannon.net. I also have fiction-atlas.com. I'm just everywhere. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Instagram. You can find me, just Google my name and stuff pops up. So there you go.
Are you on the new MySpace, the one that everybody's saying?
No.
Like the new MySpace yet?
There's a new MySpace.
No.
What?
There's something out there that's like kind of like modeled after MySpace. That
Is Tom there though? Come on. It's really MySpace.
But one of these days, I've every time that you're on, I get reminded of this. I'm going to do a show where we talk about the social medias that we don't like, because that'll be a fun show. So. All right, Nicki, you want to tell everybody where they can find you?
Yes, you can find me pretty much like her everywhere. Go to my website. It has all my social media links. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, even do some TikToks once in a while. Everything you can find, all my books are all on Amazon. Look me up there, The Great Evil, and that's pretty much it.
Nice. All right. We've had plenty of shows on The Great Evil.
It's always.
All right, Madeline, you want to tell everybody where they can find you?
All right, guys. So you can find me and all my stuff here at this website. The easiest thing. I'm literally all over social media, constantly adding new things, because the great Facebook crash kind of freaked all the authors out. So yeah, hit me up, follow me, and check out my work.
She's getting good at the pointing thing.
Yeah.
That literally was seamless. Nice.
It was much better than mine.
Thanks, guys.
All right, Sean, you want to tell everybody where they can find you, sir?
Sure. Most of my links to my social media are on my website, SeanBurgessAuthor.com. I'm on TikTok and some other platforms too. I'm probably most active on Twitter, and I'd love to connect. So definitely reach out. You can find my books on Amazon, Walmart, Barnes and Noble. Pretty much, just Google it and pick your preference.
And now's the time to go and check out The Tear Collector, because the next book's coming out. It's a fantastic book. Everybody should go check it out. It's a really good one. So, we did a whole show on it too. So if you go back into our archives, we did a fandom forum about it. So, but it's a really great book. So everybody go check that out. And I'm Joe Compton. You're here at Go Indie Now. Congratulations, you found us. I really appreciate it. Hey, while you're here, I got a suggestion for you. Smash the like button. Because that helps us. That gets everybody to know more people come and enjoy our shows and join us for wonderful debauchery and talks about first drafts and everything like that. And we're real excited. Thank you for everybody who was here and who commented and already hit the like button. I really appreciate that. Share, subscribe, comment, do all those wonderful things. Those also help us out very much. So I will mention too, if you're a YouTube Premiere subscriber, so if you have YouTube Premiere and you don't get to check out our show live, you can now download it, and that helps us a lot. So if you are a Premiere member of YouTube Premiere, download our show. That helps us tremendously with the algorithm. So I learned that little trick just recently. So everybody go do that if you're a Premiere member. We would really appreciate it. And then you can just watch it for 5 seconds and delete it. That's fine. I don't care. But otherwise, thank you so much for being here, and thank you for joining us. And with that being said, the last 5 minutes belong to our good friend here. Let me get the little graphic up. Miss AJ Mullican. So AJ, take it away. It's all yours.
All right, so brief intro. I am AJ Mullican. You heard earlier that I write sci-fi dystopian and paranormal romance. Well, this is my first book. It's actually an anthology, so let's see how thick this boy is. And I just started in the Omegaverse writing and started with my first story here. It does tie into my Reverse Harem paranormal romance series that I have, so that kind of will make some things make a little more sense. There are Easter eggs and stuff. We talked about that today. You can find me at ajmullican.com/author. All my links are up there, and my site is going to get a little overhaul in the coming days once I get some graphics up and everything like that. So it'll change a little bit, streamlining a little bit, making things a little easier to find. But I'm going to read from you now for my final 5 from my story, A Hunter Hunted, in this Fated and Claimed anthology, which you can find at books2read.com/fated and claimed, all one word. Isn't that nice and handy? All right. So we'll read a little bit of chapter 1 until my 5 minutes is up, and we'll see what you like. All right. So chapter 1, love. They say it's a beautiful thing if you can find it. My cousins found it. They met an amazing woman who loves them all. 5 brothers, 4 now after the tragedy that took one of them, all helping her raise her twins. I know I'll never have kids of my own. Being a gay man kind of negates that shy of adoption. But love, a part of me still hopes, prays for the impossible, for a strong man who can fill that emptiness inside in more ways than one. Small town life makes finding a mate for a tough for a guy like me. Small southern town life makes it double tough. Throw in the supernatural weirdness that accompanies the hundreds of ley lines flowing through nowhere, North Carolina, and I might as well give up, right? I mean, what self-respecting gay man willingly moves to a backwards podunk town like this? If my family didn't live here, I'd probably been gone ages ago myself. It doesn't help that I'm part of that supernatural weirdness. Turning into a wolf at will isn't exactly something I put on my partner app profile, and if I put down that I'm submissive, I'm likely to get some unwanted attention from the guys on the app. A slight whiff of arousal pulls me from my depressive musings, and I look up from the glass I'm cleaning to see a buxom college girl batting her lashes at me. Great. Why do I have to be a chick magnet? Cherry says it's my dark hair and lashes, but I think part of it stems from some subconscious desire to obtain the unattainable. What do you have tonight? Despite my total lack of interest in the mammary glands on display, I turn on a charm in hopes of getting a decent tip out of this. You look like a top shelf kind of gal. Girlie arcs her back and leans into the bar top, which might have worked on any other guy in town. I hear the bartenders here make the best margaritas. I do make a mean margarita. Can't deny that. Well then, a margarita it is. My cousin-in-law, Cherry, sidles up to me as I start mixing and nudges my ribs. Need me to fend anyone off tonight, Miguel? I glance up at the mirrored wall and meet the eyes of the college girl. I wink at her and grin. Nah, let her think she's got a chance. Who knows? Maybe she's got a cute brother hidden away somewhere. And I've killed a few minutes here. I'm going to leave this with this lovely image here. All right. And always remember, it's always time to go indie now.
Bye, everybody.